6:34 p.m. Okay. Going right ahead with our agenda, we will begin with roll call. Senator Christian Arredondo. Present. Senator Reed Blake.
Present.
Senator Traylon Bradley Bowles.
Present.
Senator Fabian Escobedo. Senator Ali Isles.
Present.
Senator Jackie Jacoby.
Present.
Senator Colette King.
Present.
Senator Delaney Koenig.
Present.
Senator Priscilla Perez.
Present.
Senator Jason Ramirez.
Present.
Senator Herman Sanger.
Present.
Senator Summer Schaefer.
Present.
Senator Katrina Seca.
Present.
President Pro Tempore Devin Plaza.
Present.
Personnel Director Ashley Hirano. Elections Director Stephanie Rose.
Present.
Outreach Director Jessica Urquidez.
Here.
Senate Secretary Odelia Chakri.
Present.
Senate Parliamentarian Momo Hussein.
Present.
Vice President of Campus Internal Affairs Fernando Echeverria.
Present.
Vice President of External Affairs Abraham Galvan.
Here.
Vice President of Finance Irish Shang.
Present.
President Nafi Karim. And myself.
What did you didn't call me?
Oh, sorry. Senator John Zell.
Well, you know me for sure.
Thank you so much. Skipped over the Okay. Continuing on with our agenda, I would like to make a motion, by the way, sorry, before I open up the floor for motions, copies of our agenda are placed right on the table there by the boom mic, so for any members of the gallery that would like to take a look at the items that we'll be covering in tonight's Senate meeting, I welcome you all to take a look. Okay, now we'd like to open up the floor for motions to approve or amend the agenda.
Motion to amend the agenda?
Your amendment?
To our collaboration.
Collaboration?
Yes.
Okay. We can add that after section G for public comment. Okay. For yourself. Elections Director Stephanie Rose.
To add the elections committee update, please.
Okay. Elections committee update. I'll put that after outreach committee, subsection 5. So are there any further amendments? Okay. Then I'd like to open up the floor for motions to approve tonight's agenda. All right, motion by Senator Reed Blake. I have a second. Seconded by President Pro Tempore Devin Plaza. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstain. All right, by a vote of 15-0-0, the agenda passes. Continuing on, I have last week's Senate meeting minutes. By now, I trust that everyone is familiar with the process, so I will go ahead and pass these to my left to begin your approval before they go up on the website. Okay. Continuing on to section E of our agenda of ex officios. If there are any ex officios in attendance, I would like to extend a welcome to come up and write your name on the podium to sign in for our minutes purposes. And then the floor is yours. Take it back.
All right. Oh, there's no, just, I'll get it in my hands. All right, hello everyone, Judicial Council. Some of you are aware, but I'm sure some of you are not. Our last Chief Justice, Matthew, graduated winter quarter, and so we did vote. We voted in a new justice, and hi, it's me. Essentially, the reason I'm talking to you all today is that I just have a couple notes that I would like to give you all as far as elections, and to the galley as well, of course. But just some things of note that we'd really like everyone to take into consideration and really emphasize as we go into elections week. Well, my first note really is just a very basic thing, respect. As candidates, or whoever candidates are, or if you're helping a party run, you need to be respectful, not only to the people in your party, obviously, but you need to respect the other candidates. This is something that it is a very bad trend that I saw from last year, and I see continuing this year. One part of that is negative campaigning. If you're doubtful that the words coming out of your mouth or leaving your fingertips into the computer is negative campaigning, do not put it, please. That's really all we ask. You need to make sure that you're being civil, because students are noticing, and I'm having people come up to me and really expressing dissatisfaction with what they're seeing. And that's really bad for ASUCR. Second, I would say, and still under respect, posters. We had this same issue last year. Posters have been ripped down, they've been defaced, they've been ruined. This needs to stop. Obviously, we have difficulties enforcing this, but if someone witnesses something, or if you're able to record it and bring it forward, this will be treated very seriously. Next note I have, still kind of under respect. I would say all of this comes under respect. If you're filing violations, you need to be mindful, is your violation report valid? Like, some people bring forth things and we can tell where things are being brought in for the pure reason of bringing in a massive violations, throwing them at the wall and hoping they stick. This really ruins our process. It makes us really inundated with decisions we have to make. It sets off our decisions and getting them back to everyone. In addition, it really makes the potency of the other violations that are being filed brought down. So we try our best to do as much as we can to really give violations the attention that they deserve, but it is extremely hard when we're getting just waves of them. And it's not too bad this year, but I would like to avoid that from last year. Finally, then this is just kind of a side note, there's been some confusion on this and I wanted to clear this up. The elections director is allowed to give strikes, not just judicial counsel. This is something that the elections director has been able to do. You know, they've done it this year, they've done it, I believe, in previous years. Elections committee also has a voice in that, but it needs to be made absolutely sure. Elections director can give strikes, and yes, you can appeal them to us, but they are still strikes unless we limit them. So, I mean, that's really all I have to say. Again, I really just want to emphasize we're trying to have a respectful process. Everyone here that's getting voted for and getting placed on this horseshoe really tries to emphasize the respect for the school and the respect for their peers, and it needs to show during this process. Otherwise, everything that, well, not everything, but the process that you go through later on definitely loses its merit if you're not following through with your words. All right, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any other ex officios in attendance?
Good evening. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Andres Medrano, and I'm the ex officio elect for Plaza Assembly and CSP. Jorge Jauregui, current ex officio, won't be able to make it from here on out. And I guess my only announcement is to remind you that CSP will be having a 26th annual Chicano Latino Youth Conference this Saturday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. CSP's invited 44 high schools. About 1,000 students will be in attendance, 100 parents from high schools in Southern California. They will be holding workshops in which they empower the students to learn about admission requirements and career opportunities. In attendance will be engineers, teachers, lawyers, astronomers, doctors, all of which are UCR alum, and CSP would really appreciate it if volunteers could go from Thursday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to CSP to help out with planning and organizing and packaging stuff that will be handed out on that day. Also, on that day, volunteers are needed from 6:30 to about 3:30. Yeah, that's about it.
Great, thank you so much. Any other ex officios?
Hi everybody, so RHA this week. We have about half of our ECAP elected for next year. We have our executive president and we have all 4 of our building presidents. Last night we ended up with one more, so we have 4 building presidents now, which is great. This Friday we'll be appointing our 4 vice presidents for next year. So this Friday we'll be interviewing 13 people. It'll be a long night, but it'll be worth it to have our 4 vice presidents in office for next year. Tonight we'll actually be electing 2 of our other ECAT members that were of our ex officios from NRHH. For those who don't know, NRHH is our sister organization. It's our honor society in residence hall. So tonight we'll be electing our president and vice president from that council. And that's about it. Lots of elections, so yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Were there any other officios in attendance that would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll continue on with the next item of our agenda to public forum. At this time, any members of the galley that would like to present any new business to Senate that you wish to consider for its attention, I welcome you to come up, sign in to the podium for our minutes purposes, and then I will turn the floor over to you.
If I write my name.
Sorry.
Hello everyone. So my name is Anna Sanchez. I am a student parent here at UCR. I'm also representing student parents and our kids organization, the only student parent organization here on campus. I did want to discuss a few things. Basically on the points of representation for non-traditional students and for transfer students. Currently, the past 2 years, there has been some movement to get some more resources for us, but I see that the Senate does not reflect a lot of what the student body is, as I mean transfer students, non-traditional students. Some of the things I think that should be brought up and should be discussed are things like resources, more childcare, we have social workers here, but they don't connect us to them. We also need full staff to assure that we do get these resources to the students, and also EBT on campus. Poverty is a big issue, and a lot of us do have government aid, and that's needed here as well on campus. Some positive points, I would say we greatly appreciate the transfer commuter lounge. That is a great help, and I know some of the Senate has provided some assistance with that. And also, what I've heard, there's going to be a director position for traditional, non-traditional students. That is definitely what is needed. We need more representation here in the Senate, and we need the student body to understand that not everybody comes from the same background, and not everybody goes through the same struggles, but does not mean that we are less of a student here at UCR. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Anna. Were there any members of the galley that would like to come forward to speak? Sit up.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Daniel Lopez, as most of you know by now. And pretty much all I wanted to come and say is that for the food pantry initiative, we'll be having a can collection competition May 7th. So it should be, it's a fun way to get some resources into the food pantry. Just as UC Riverside is famous for giving back, it's another way of our students really getting involved with the rest of the campus. So this can collecting competition will be May 7th. The application is in ASUCR, so it'll be very accessible to you all senators and your organizations. The application is due May 1st, and along with the registration for all your participants. And for in terms of cans and non-perishables, you would bring those onto campus the day of the event, which would be May 7th. It's a Thursday for those who are wondering. And then just to reiterate, food pantry meetings are Mondays from 3 to 4 at Chicano student programs. So if anybody wants to get involved with that, we'd be more than happy to have you. Any more questions?
Senator Collecting?
Hi. Hi, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to make your meeting on Monday, but was this the thing that you were planning for May 22nd? You moved it up earlier, or is that something else?
I believe, yeah, it's something we moved up a little earlier. I had a discussion with Olivia also, and that was just the time that was best to not, run into finals and all that stuff. So I think, it's that same event, but we just moved it up a little closer.
There you go.
Where do we bring the cans?
Okay, so all the instructions are in the pretty much the guidelines that you would receive once you get the application.
Okay.
But pretty much it's going to be at the speaker's mount in front of Costco Hall between Watkins, so like Hub, Costco Hall and Watkins, so that grass area. So it's around that area. So
Okay.
it'll be there. Sure.
If there are no more questions, Daniel, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alright, hi everyone, my name is Angelica E. I've been here before. I guess I just had a question in regards to the food pantry. I know that there was, talk of a committee being organized. I just want to know if there's some type of update that the population could know about. Just because I feel like the food pantry has progressed, has moved on, has moved forward. They've been in our campus. I know some students have been able to go to the garden and harvest strawberries and all these things. I know I've been a part of that. We use the oranges for our Cesar Chavez 5K. I feel like, is there any move with that? Is there a location, something going with that?
So lucky for you, we're actually voting on the committee bylaws today.
Awesome.
So the vote will be today. My office is, Olivia's in my office, so she orchestrated the can drive. So we'll be getting things moving forward from now on. I'm going to look at the budget and see what we can request so that the committee itself has a budget for next year to operate under, as well as how I can incorporate the GCAP committee to also give part of their funding to the committee as well. So we're working it out and things are moving forward. And I've already talked to Danny too. So.
Okay. Well, and what about location? Has that been discussed?
Location's something I've actually been discussing with some of my staff members. I also kind of discussed with some administrators. I'm thinking of using some of the solar funds from the GCAP committee and buying a solar shed to place on campus wherever we deem most appropriate, because we did send out a survey and we're waiting for the results of that survey. So I think we have enough money in that budget to actually buy a shed that's about 10 by 10, and that should be enough space and has an actual space that can be put anywhere on campus.
Okay. That's cool. Thank you. And again, I encourage all of you to go to the garden and pick up some of the food. We don't want them to go bad either. They're going, so we need people to pick them. And then also attend meetings as well on Mondays from 4 to 5 at CSP. And then another question. So I had a question in regards to the Highlander referendum. There was a question that I'm not sure if it was answered, if you were able to message Mafalda
or?
Not yet, I can talk to you after, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you so
Good evening, Senators, Vice Presidents, and other members of ASUCR. My name is Jonathan D'Souza, and I'm a student at UC Riverside, and I am a volunteer with the California Public Interest Research Group, more popularly known as CalPERC. Today is Earth Day, and I hope that all of you are enjoying the fresh air and the clean water in the state of California. CalPERC was founded around the same time as the very first Earth Day. During the past 40 years, our organization has helped to pass a statewide plastic bag ban, has enabled 1 million solar panels to be placed upon roofs across California, has allowed 1 million affordable, fuel-efficient cars to be put on California roads, and helped pass one of the first global warming laws in the United States. CalPERC wants to continue to protect the environment. In honor of Earth Day, we kindly ask that each of you go to calpercstudents.org and sign up for and pledge to reduce water. We look forward to continue working with ASUCR and students across the state in order to effectively advocate for students' rights, consumers, the birds, the trees, the air, and all the fluffy animals that make California a great state. I thank you for your time, your patience, and I hope that all of you have a wonderful Earth Day.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any other members of the public that would like to come forward?
I'm Susan Allen Ortega, Assistant Vice Chancellor in Student Affairs, and I just wanted to actually respond in part to the question that you raised about the food security issues. In addition to the good work that Daniel and others have been doing, the system has asked that the university establish a food security task force and have it be comprised of faculty, staff, students, and community members. So the Chancellor just appointed the committee, and the committee membership was informed by GSA, ASUCR, and others that have, CSP, others that have been intimately involved with this effort. So Michael is on the committee, and Daniel is on the committee, and I can give you all the full membership. I don't have it in my head right this second. But in addition to the $10,000 that Vice Chancellor Sandoval has pledged to support the food security efforts, the system is making money available, and they're asking us, the work of the committee, to put a proposal together by June for how we would like to use the money that's being allocated to us to be able to address food security on our campus. And I'm going to be the chair of that group, the facilitator, and liaison with UCLA.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I had a question.
Okay.
Who did you contact to ask for the ASUCR representative?
Fernando and Michael and I think Melty.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just because I know that there's been a lot of people in AS that have been working on this issue, like significantly, I would say more, and I'm not saying other students shouldn't be involved. If anything, we should increase the amount of students involved. But I do see that as a concern. I know that I had no idea that this was even going to happen, and I've been involved with this.
I'll double check, but I think I may have included you too in the communication, so I'll go back and find it.
Yeah, that would be great. And so, yeah, I just think that that's something that we should probably look into more, and that the chancellor should really consider expanding student involvement within the committee, because having one AS representative I think is really limiting in the sense of how much input can be given, and ultimately this is an initiative that's supposed to be for students, and it should be by students as well. So
I'll find that in initial communication. Abraham.
One moment, while we go through technical.
what are you watching?
conversation if it doesn't seem like it's appropriately representing students. There are a good number of students on the committee.
Thank you.
Okay.
If I could just add that the administration, I mean, we're not looking to be exclusive in the membership. Actually, we're looking to be inclusive. So ASUCR participation is important, but there have been a number of individual students and student groups and organizations across the campus that have been engaged in this, and we really want to make sure that it is as inclusive as possible. And I know fully that Chancellor Wilcox would support having open meetings, etc. We're looking for input to do the right thing for our students in need, and I don't think we need to have the barriers of membership getting hung up on that.
Okay. Are there any other members of the public that would like to come forward for a public forum? Okay. Seeing none, we will continue on with our agenda. Now, before turning our attention to committee updates, I wanted to actually give a special moment to our Senator Colette King. So I will actually go ahead and let her speak.
Thank you, Michael. If none of you are aware, the Armenian Student Association, in an effort to get campus-wide recognition of the Armenian genocide, will be hosting 2 events. Tonight, we will be screening Screamers, a documentary produced and directed by System of a Down, a world-famous rock band. This will take place tonight at 8 p.m. in the barn. Tomorrow, we will be having an event called Flowers of the Fallen. We have been doing these 2 events for the past 2 years. UCR students will be able to stick a flower on a styrofoam 100. It's a literal 100 made out of styrofoam. I was a little confused by that initially. Since it's the 100th centennial, we will be giving forget-me-not flowers like the one that I'm wearing and scantrons with the hashtag We Demand Justice, which we will be using Friday for the march from Hollywood. This 100 will then be presented to the Turkish embassy on Friday during the March for Justice. It is expected that 100,000 American Armenians will be marching from Little Armenia, Hollywood to the Turkish embassy. Petros, the president of ASA's grandfather, will be marching as well. He's 90 years old. The American Armenian student population at UCR is a very unified population, and I encourage members of Senate and of all of UCR to be a part of this unification tomorrow. Right now, I would like to ask for a moment of silence for all those who perished during the Armenian genocide. Thank you, and I hope that I see many of you tomorrow at our events. And if you have passion for human rights in Hollywood this Friday, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Continuing on with section G of our agenda, we'll begin with subsection 1 of our finance. So at this time, I will turn it over to our Vice President of Finance, Alex Shea.
Hi everyone. So grants for this following week are as follows. First we have $14.25 for Alpha, which is the Association of Latino Professionals for America, and their networking dinner. Next we have $1,500 for Future Tennis Club. They are holding a 5K run against health disparities. Next we have 1316 for Alpha Sigma Omicron for their pre-health and pre-medical conference. And lastly, we have 905 for DJs and Vinophiles, and they are holding a medium scale dance. That is all. Okay, I would like to move to pass these grant allocations.
Okay, motion to approve the grant allocations by the Irish Shea. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Jackie Jacoby. All those in favor? those opposed? And abstain. All right, by a vote of 1401, these allocations pass. Okay. Continuing on with our committee updates, I will now turn it over on our Legislative Review Committee, our President Pro Tempore, Daniel Guaza.
Hi everyone. So as promised, we have the Food Pantry Planning and Implementation Committee bylaws. And we have some changes highlighted. A lot of our committee members and Fernando, who wrote the bylaws, were absent because of the student lobby conference. And so the committee wanted to raise the concerns tonight and see if you could answer some of the questions we had. The first one was in regards to like being specific and naming in the bylaws, and we just wanted to know like the clarification, and if it needed to be like as specific as possible, and if you could just elaborate on like your reasoning for that highlighted.
Highlighted portions?
Yeah.
So I did write in initially that Daniel Lopez would be a permanent member until his graduation. That was a personal request from Danny himself. He just wasn't sure because he sort of led the entire movement. He's the one that has funding allocated to his name, and he wasn't sure. I had initially told him that the Diversity Council nomination would most likely probably go to him, but he wanted a way to kind of be certain of his position in the committee. So I just added that into the bylaws. If you all feel it's not appropriate, I still think that he probably will be nominated by the Diversity Council, and I'm pretty sure from the members in there that he will be nominated, and we can make that happen in some way or form. The second highlighted portion, which is the vice chair will not be a member of ASUCR. The reason I have it that way is because the current chair is already a member of ASUCR permanently, so every year from here on out, the chairperson will be the vice president of campus internal affairs no matter what. So I wanted to make sure, since this is a community-driven initiative, that the community gets a position as vice chair. I've heard that it seemed like discriminatory, but it's just to be certain that a member of the community gets the vice chair position. And there is a stipulation that if no community member would like to assume the vice chair position, then it can be an ASUCR member. So I believe that ASUCR already has representation, but one of the main concerns in writing the bylaws from the community was that they don't want ASUCR to be the complete committee either. So let's make sure that we honor our obligations and that we're aware that this is a community-driven initiative and that we should respect that.
Okay, so one of the committee kind of came together with Lori, and we suggested maybe specifying if you would want on the committee in the future the vice chair to be a representative from the Diversity Council or someone who's like heavily involved within the Diversity Council, because they'll be well versed on this initiative for the most part. In specifying that it shouldn't be a member of ASUCR. So I don't know if you all want to discuss that and maybe swapping one of the clauses, and then also I'd like to discuss keeping Daniel Lopez, if he requested this, in the bylaws, and I think we should honor that because he did bring this attention he brought this initiative to our attention. So I think if that's something that he requested, we should honor it. That's my own personal opinion. So if anyone wants to discuss.
Director Jessica Edith.
Being one of the students that helped initiate it, unfortunately I do not have some time commitment to it this year. But I understand Daniel's perspective. From my understanding, it's very difficult to understand positions and what duties fall into those positions. So when you think of the past actions or the past initiatives that he had brought up, or just projects that he's working on now, it may not fall underneath one of the categories or one of the positions. So that's kind of what made it difficult, because when you have bylaws that state what your duties are, you're not limited to these things. But if you're already not doing these things and you have other projects that don't fall underneath these bylaws, it kind of, I don't want to say it's a conflict of interest, but like it's a conflict of duties. I don't know if that works. But it's basically like, I do feel it's important to have Danny in the bylaw, but I do think it's important to kind of understand that there's a reason behind it. Maybe we can say the student who initiated, but I think it would be difficult to have everyone identify that the student that initiated the project, maybe some type of language of the student who received the grant to their name, to be more specific, but I think it's important to have that language included.
Parliamentary motion. And,
I just have a question about the appointment process or the selection process for the 7 members from the Diversity Council. And then I was wondering if, I know it says 1 member from the community at large, and I know it's not a general practice to just open committees up to 18,000 students, but I don't know if, because I don't know if it's limited to 13 voting members and is it open to the public, or is this open to all students? And then what is the selection process that the Diversity Council uses to select those 7 individuals?
Fernando, if you want to answer.
You want to talk about diversity council first?
you can talk
I
about
think diversity description.
description.
So to answer the diversity council question, with each representing their communities, they kind of elect their own within their own communities, and then they have their representatives. With the new bylaws, if a certain I don't know how to explain it without saying it, thing is passed, then it would always fall under the same jurisdiction. That's when the directors make the decision to have those students also be sitting on another committee. So those appointed students would be given more responsibility. So it's usually the directors of a certain office or program that appoint those positions. So if you would want to be representative of those communities in the Diversity Council, you would have to be representing those communities, in my opinion, maybe identify or be of that community as a student leader. And you may not identify yourself, but you need to be a part of that space. So it's more of the community representing their own representative.
Oh no, I wasn't asking for the reason why, I was more asking about the process. For example, like if within the Diversity Council, like one group wanted a little more representation or whatever, they felt like they should be more included in the 7 members or whatever, like how would all the, like which process is being used for 7 members from the Diversity Council?
Well, I believe there's 9 now.
What?
There's going to be 7.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. I'll explain that part.
Okay, yeah, so like the 7 members, so like what would be the process for selecting them? Would the Diversity Council just come to the personnel director and say, here, these are 7 of the people that we want to sit on the committee? Or like, say I was in Diversity Council or I was a student, like how would I go about becoming one of the 7 to get on this committee?
On the committee for the food pantry?
Yeah.
Do you want to answer that? Or?
Yeah. So the process for that specific part that you're commenting on is the Diversity Council will hold the rights to nomination of the different individuals they decide, and then it will go to personnel director. Personnel director deems them worthy, then of course they're going to be part of the community. The community at large is to make sure that maybe someone that's not from the ethnic and gender community wants to be also a part of it. So that's to ensure that someone at large is also a member of it. But we do have the main groups that have been working on the food pantry initiative represented. Because we have the GCAP representative, we have different offices, we have Sustainable UCR included. So we try to gather everyone, but making sure that we're honoring the part where this came from the Diversity Council, and then it came to us, and then they requested that, so I made sure the Diversity Council still holds their power over that. And I can understand your concerns over the personnel director appointing all the positions, but I think this one, since it is more community oriented, that we stick with the nomination process. So it's still open to anyone. It's like, that's not like you're going to be excluded. If you go to Diversity Council and you say you want to be part of it, you can be part of it as long as you're one of the 7.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe like more clarification, or you're probably going to get to the 7. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, so I'd like to make an amendment to go back to the original wording that says Daniel Lopez will serve as a permanent standing member until his graduation. And if this is friendly, Fernando, maybe...
I will leave that up to Senate. Friendly, and if you pass, you pass.
Okay. For to start, is there like a discussion that wants to happen?
So if there's no objection, this will be a friendly amendment, correct? Okay. Abraham, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, it's like a really unorthodox thing to do, to like secure one person into the position by writing it in a bylaw. I don't think that I don't think that Senate necessarily needs to do that. Bylaws do not traditionally do anything like that, and I wouldn't wanna like depart too far from it. I understand like the perspective of wanting to be on it, like almost certainly, but I think that that would happen regardless through the nomination process. So yeah, like I know last year when we passed the diversity council bylaws, like I didn't say like I'm gonna be in it the whole time until I leave. You know, like I think it's good to like have that, and also like at a certain point, this initiative is ASUCR does need to take more ownership over the initiative, because while this is something that began as a community effort and should continue as a community effort, like at the end of the day, these funds are going to be appropriated through AS, and it should be elected officials that you can hold accountable in these positions. By logging somebody into a bylaw, it makes it really hard to like keep those individuals accountable, because at least if somebody's nominated, they can be removed, but it's like you can't remove someone that's supposed to be there permanently with no stipulation as to like a possibility of removal or anything like that. So I see like, obviously I think Daniel Lopez is great, and I think it would not be an issue, but I just don't want to set that precedent through this bylaw.
Senator Bradley.
Yeah, I have to just bounce off Abe. I mean, when I saw the thing, just the type of language, I mean, instead of bylaws, this is not really something that's supposed to be the diction that is used in respect to bylaws. Bylaws are supposed to be a set of requirements, rules, aspects of something that's supposed to last beyond a certain amount of time. They're supposed to be over a longer period of time. That's why you make them concrete and to the point, and not detailed with things like names or proper nouns, things like that. You usually keep that stuff out of the way. So I have to agree, I think it's a little bit unorthodox, although I think that, obviously that, I agree with Abe, that he definitely, the position is there for him in terms of nomination, but it's very unorthodox to just kind of insert someone's name as a permanent standing member in a set of bylaws.
So if Danny's name was taken out of this bylaw, but if we did, and if someone else was appointed to this position, would Senate have to ratify that person? Or is that not something that we generally do?
No, I don't believe so. Probably probably explain the position a little bit better.
And I'm just asking, so in the case that Danny isn't appointed, and if Senate felt that he should be, if we could like do something in retrospect?
And usually, especially because I understand that this committee will take place under the internal affairs. I know that there are certain committee staff that have to go under approval of the Senate. So this might have to be something that be specified in the bylaws if the committee chair, vice chair, or select members of this committee will need approval of Senate. I suppose that's actually a good question for conversation to elaborate on. Parliamentarian, I want to say. Actually, one second, Devin Plaza.
Okay, so my suggestion was going to maybe take out the specificity of the name, but maybe stating that the student that's received the grant funding, have a more general statement, the student that's received the funding from the Vice Chancellor Student Affairs Office should be nominated, should be a member of this committee, via recommendation of chair or something like that. If that's something that, if the name is what's conflicting, because it is supposed to be a general bylaw that can last while we're here.
I'll start with our parliamentarian and then our Vice President of Internal Affairs.
Just as a general bylaw, like Abraham said, there are a couple of technicalities and issues that arise. I would have, I also would agree, like, you could go a general route and not really specify. But then again, like, that goes back to the whole guaranteeing a spot and like what Reem pointed out, or Senator Reem Blake pointed out about, like the selection process and does Senate approve it. And so what I wanted to just kind of add real quick was like, we're already, like the Diversity Council, again, which is why I wanted to highlight the process and stuff like that. The Diversity Council is going through a process to select these individuals, and then it has to go through the personnel director. So already right there, I feel like there's an ASUCR check, you know? And there's a, so the council would just select them and they would just be?
You're talking about the Diversity Council gets appointed by each of the 7 directors of the ethnic and community programs, and then...
No, I'm talking about the members on this committee. Yeah, so the Diversity Council will end up nominating these people, and that comes from the community, and then ASUCR would end up approving them. And I feel like that's already like a good, like, coming together. You don't need to add like more checks, like the Senate needs to approve every single person, because you don't know if you're gonna go like Senate apathy or a progressive Senate or a Senate that necessarily agrees or has the students' best interests at heart. So I feel like just from a community and a Senate point of view, like as the writing currently stands, like it's a good process.
Okay. We'll move it now to our Vice President of Internal Affairs, Fernando.
So, I mean, my personal opinion, the reason I let it through because I wanted to see what you all thought, but realistically, I do believe that he will be nominated through the process that's already established. None of my other committees and not a lot of other AS committees have to be approved by the Senate as a whole, and I'd rather not add that complication into it. I think it's best that we do not set a bad precedent or that we do not guarantee a position. I feel that he will be nominated by the Diversity Council, and I can almost assure, just because we have members of AS sitting in that board regardless. And I think because this was a movement by the community, that they recognize the member of the community who started it and the leadership. So I believe that he'll still be nominated through the process. So I would like to keep the strike. I would recommend to leave the strike out.
So with the original LRC amendment in place, Deb, if you want to continue.
Yeah, okay, so with this strikeout, we suggested just to specify one of the 7 members appointed by the Diversity Council will be a liaison between both on and off campus partners, and that was kind of to allude to Daniel and his involvement with the initiative. And then with the whole, so that's like our suggestion in place of the striking out the letter G. So if you all want to keep this and you think that it's necessary to keep the liaison between both on and off campus partners, or if you think that he will be automatically selected for the Diversity Council, we can strike that out. But I think we should keep it at 7 members. I guess it would be 6 members if we're taking off G and we're adding another member appointed by the Diversity Council. And then the second issue would be the vice chairperson, and going back to the original wording at the bottom that says the vice chairperson shall not be a member of AS, and adding that back in, and then getting rid of the vice chairperson will be nominated by the Diversity Council. No, it's like, this is what would be in place. So we're striking out, if we vote on this, it'll be strike out for Daniel Lopez, and I'm just kind of explaining, like, for when we took this out, we added the liaison between both on and off campus partners to allude to Daniel, to add him that's kind of his involvement within this. And then the second part for the vice chair appointed, it would be in place of this last one, but if you would like to keep the last one, the vice chairperson shall not be a member of ASUCR unless there's no willing representative, then we can strike the nominated and appointed vice chairperson by the Diversity Council. So it's up for discussion now.
Devin, didn't we strike that out and then add that member of the diversity council to take place. So
Yeah,
really,
that's
they
right.
wouldn't be an AS person, but they would be still nominated by the council, so.
Diversity council, yeah.
Yeah, so that the wording is just not quite so, but it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, so it's just to ensure that it couldn't be someone from the Sustainable UCR or the community at large, but it could be, it would be someone from the Diversity Council, which I guess still could be someone from ASUCR because there are people on the council, now that I think about it. So it's up to you all if you want to keep the original wording with the vice chairperson just not being someone from ASUCR, or if you'd like to keep the nominated and appointed by Diversity Council.
The floor is open for discussion. Parliamentarian, one more thing.
I would just like to recommend, instead of prohibiting something, letting the diversity council decide who would represent them would be in their best interest.
That's interesting.
So keeping the one of which will be nominated and
Yeah,
appointed
instead of
by.
preventing somebody, let them decide what would be best for. That's just my suggestion.
Okay, so with the amendments, well, the amendments are staying the same. If there's no further questions or discussion, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Food Pantry Planning and Implementation Committee bylaws as on the screen.
Okay. We have a motion by President Pro Tempore Devin Plaza to approve the Food Pantry Planning and Implementation Committee bylaws. Do I have a second? Yes.
Did we strike out G?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the same, it's the form that I sent everyone a few days ago.
So it's
Nothing
remained
has changed.
unedited.
Yeah, nothing has changed.
And seconded by Senator Christian Arredondo. All those in favor of adding this to the bylaws? All those opposed? And abstain. All right, by a vote of 14-0-0, the bylaws pass. Okay, if that concludes your report,
That's it.
then we will move on to subsection 3, our Vice President of Campus Internal Affairs. And he will bring up the presentation on the screen.
Excuse me.
Yep. And then could you go into the presentation, please? All right, so I've been quiet the past 2 months or so, because I wanted to make sure that I gathered enough information to present to Senate and of course the Galley and the Highlander. So I'm going to go over the state of the many committees that I sit on. I'm also going to talk about the office and give you a full report of the state of the university is what I'm going to call it. So can we skip to the next slide? So I wanted to give an update on the master plan, what's been discussed, what's going on. So I'll be giving a lot of updates. If you want to take notes, take notes. If we have any questions, feel free to ask after the presentation. And I'll just be giving a full rundown of everything I've been working on, some victories, and of course just updating you on the current state of the university. So, during the master plan, with my conversations with different administrators and students, and the green dot, red dot exercises that have been taking place, one of the things that we all know that the administration really noticed is this thing called parking orientation. So I don't know if you've ever taken notice, but when you say you're somewhere on campus, you're like, oh, I'm by lot 24, I'm by this lot, or I'm by lot 1. So they've really noticed how that's a kind of a bit of a stigma, because now we're literally orientating ourselves around parking lots, when it should really be more like academic buildings, places like a stadium or this field. It should be these different things to make it feel like more of a collegiate atmosphere. It shouldn't be parking lots. The next thing is building a collegiate atmosphere. Chancellor Wilcox and of course our Vice Chancellor Jim Sandoval have really stressed building a collegiate atmosphere. What that entails is really making it feel like a college town. and that begins with the entrances of the university. So if you all notice, like going down University, going down Blaine, there's nothing that really stands out like that you're going into a university area. So one of the things that was proposed is building something like Harvard has, that the Claremont colleges have, in building entrances that clearly say like, welcome to University of California, Riverside. So that's one of the first steps in going into building a collegiate atmosphere, and I think it's a great initiative, and it's something that everyone can really start interpreting, and this is another way for us to deter crime rates, to make a campus that's more welcoming. So I really like that idea, and I hope that you all, when we all participate, that you all also say that that's something that we want to build a college town. Biking infrastructure. So one of the big things is a big campus safety concern, is that we don't have bike lanes, we don't have skateboard lanes, scooter lanes, any of those things. And it's become a real issue when students are going down by the bell tower, there's huge traffic, and then there's always this bicycle accident or the skateboard accident. Someone's running into each other because we don't have the bike infrastructure to handle like all these people moving around like UCSB does. UCSB is a great model for us to build a bike infrastructure similar to theirs. They have an entire bike highway. And so we want to do the same thing, especially because we want to do something for our commuters and our students that are living here as residents. So one of the cool things is the building of new academic buildings. So we're going to call it Mr. B and Mr. B2. An MRI housing for the medical school, and some developments going on in the medical school itself in the floor development. And I'll point those out in the map that's going to be in the next slide. So the bigger picture. I really want to stress how important it is that we all participate in these workshops. I know that you all last week, there was a form sent around for you to sign up. Make sure that you attend. Make sure that you are aware that there's many campus steering committees that are beginning the process of really creating this master plan for the university over these next couple years. And for those of you continuing in AS, I hope that you also remember that this is going on and that your representation and that your thoughts and comments are very valuable to the student experience in the future. So there will be many more conversations to be had in different sectors, and they don't cover just like, oh, what are we going to build next? They cover sustainability, they cover food security, they cover safety, they cover the growth of the university as a whole, the student population growth, the academic policy, faculty. There's many facets to this conversation, and I think all of you should really have a voice and a say in that. So I'm going to go to sustainability. Some of the things that I've been kind of advocating for on the Sustainability Steering Committee have been solar parking lots. A lot of high schools in California have actually started this initiative where they build their parking lots are actually covered by solar panels, generating electricity, generating different sources of income because they can sell that back to Edison. And this is something that we can actually do as well. Desert landscape, I know that we're in a drought and we have been pushed by the governor to conserve more water. So one of the things that we can address is starting to build landscape that's actually feasible in our area. We are not in the grassy knolls of like the East Coast. We are in the desert, unfortunately. So it's really important to really begin the transition to different landscape because more than half of our water usage goes to watering the lawns and everything that we use, and we are the UC that uses the most water. So eco-friendly building procedures, so making sure that everything we're building is eco-friendly, friendly to the environment, especially in the day and age that we're in. So can we go to the next slide, please? Cool. So I'll just go up here real fast. So those buildings that I was talking about earlier, one's going to be built by the MESC building, and another one's going to be over here in College South. So if you want to know where new academic buildings are going to be placed, that's where they're going. Lecture halls, more study rooms, places for faculty, since you know we're expanding our faculty offices. So, I'll handle the questions at the end. Let me just get through. I promise I'll remember you. So that's just where I kind of wanted to show you where that's going.
Point of clarification.
Oh, I think you meant to say MSE, not MESC.
Yeah, MESC. Sorry.
Read it again.
By
the
material science
material science. Yeah. Sorry. Cool. So campus safety. So I sit on the campus safety committee. One of the things that we talked about was the uptick in violence, especially in the UP area. So one of the things that I really wanted to stress was the prevention techniques in UCPD strategy. So I talked to the head of the UCPD and we had a conversation about that we're going to have more workshops that kind of teach prevention techniques. I believe Chancellor Jim Sandoval is also holding a couple workshops to really kind of see how we can improve the student experience, how we can help
different students be safe and have safe practices when they're walking alone. And then UCPD is also going to dedicate a couple more officers to patrol certain problem areas, as well as how we can use the police force we have and really strategically place them during these hours that a lot of students are unfortunately being targeted. So another thing is the fire safety and workers' compensation. So there was a big conversation in campus safety after the fire that we had not too long ago. I don't know if you heard about it, but they were streamlining practices. They saw a couple errors in the ways we handled things, and they're going to be streamlining those efforts. They also hope that we have more student participation in their campus safety fair that's coming up in the next month. Workers' compensation, so they build and streamline this model to where what students will actually be covered by what insurances. Pretty much as long as you're paid and you're a paid employee, you will be under workers' comp. But if you're not, then that means that you will have to use your own insurance. So that's something that students should know as to how they're going to start handling like different cases where students get injured and whatnot. And that also affects which clinics you get to go to, where they send you. So new steering committee, because I brought all these things up and we are actually taking more action, we have created a new steering committee that's going to specifically focus on student participation and how we can have prevention techniques, how we can combat police brutality, and how we can also see how we can work in the different safety things that students are not really aware about and how we can market that to students. So I will also be looking for new individuals to really participate in that committee. Sprinkler system victory. So I've been talking to Browns and a couple of other administrators about the sprinkler system. I don't know if you've heard, but it's been going around Facebook where students have really wanted to stop and bring an end to the broken sprinklers and all the water that we were wasting. So by June, we will have a completely new system in place, an updated system where you can report the sprinklers that are broken, and there will be an exact chart where that sprinkler is, and they are going to get to it as quickly as possible. I've also submitted any of the sprinklers that I already knew about and that I heard about, and they are taking care of them currently. So that sprinkler system will be up by June.
Yay.
So a look into the UCR budget. So the future of SFAC. I don't know how many of you I don't know how many of you know about the Student Service Fee Committee, but I just wanted to talk to you a little bit because there's not a lot of money being funded in there. There's not a lot of permanent funding that we have left. All we can do is really secure temporary funding, and there doesn't seem to be a future increase in that fund at all. So it's important to recognize that the current state of our university concerning student fees is that we can only really logistically cover what we have in the past. So it's really hard to give different departments, groups like the ethnic and gender programs more money because we are limited in what we have. We're not getting any more money, and with inflation and the cost of different programs and the increasing cost of different materials, we just simply cannot fund any more staff positions, something that's out of the ordinary, that's more than $5,000, because we have to be really, really strict with the budget. And I just wanted you all to be aware of that we do have a voice in that, but there is a reality check that we have to, in the budget, that we have to consider when we're appropriating the money. So student technology fee, that's another committee I sit on, and one of the things that I really pushed for and passed, and then we're going to talk about in the coming weeks, is new Wi-Fi ports. So we're bringing more Wi-Fi ports to the university in different campus buildings and increasing their bandwidth size. So making sure that we're installing state-of-the-art bandwidth ports that are going to be able to have many students on without the system crashing, or in buildings that don't necessarily have the best coverage already. So that's an initiative that was brought forth by some of the fellows and myself, and that's going to happen. I'm also taking any ideas that anyone else may have. If you have anything that we want to propose while we're talking about our budget, then that's something that you can talk to me about. We're also going to have an iPad program most likely, to where we can rent out iPads with different programs to faculty as well as students for classes or for other things. So that's another initiative that we're going to be holding. So the Rec Governing Board. So what we did is there's going to be some gym updates. Hopefully you all noticed that it's actually completed, except for the old gym side where there's still a couple things going on. And victories. So it was in the Rec Board's interest to never kind of really allow different organizations such as like Rasa Grad or Black Grad to really cut away their expenses. Because they always charged them full price for whatever they rented, but this time we actually got that waived. And we're setting a new precedent to where certain organizations, if they really are student-led and they're student initiatives, that we're going to continue to waive that fee as something that's, especially since we pay so many fees to that facility. Hub Board, it's completely financially stable. They've currently paid off a debt. So they'll have even more money coming into the next year. But as far as that space goes, it's completely, there's a lot of student representation. They do really well with their budget, and I think they're one of the few boards that I think has everything kind of together. So the increase the faculty and student population, I think many of you know that we're increasing our faculty sizes as well as the student population here on campus. So with that goes new residence halls. So you all know what family housing is. That's supposed to be torn down because they're old army barracks that were built in the 70s. Technically, you're not supposed to live in them anymore because there's a couple regulations going on there. So what the chancellor is really proposing is a stadium. So if you all don't know, it's like a basketball stadium, not a football stadium. It's supposed to be like one of the great things that we're going to have at the university. We'll hopefully target more people to come watch the games. Higher level players, you know, it's supposed to be a huge thing for us to really pride ourselves in this facility. And then that would be a gateway to actually having a conversation about having a football team, having different other types of teams as well. So that would really open the door for that. Of course, there's a big conversation to have about that. I just wanted to make you aware of it. Recently, Riverside City Council, this has been one of Mayor Rusty Bailey's pretty much one of his initiatives that he's wanted to do for the past couple years, which is a city trolley system. What that would be composed of is a trolley that runs from here on University all the way straight down to downtown. It's one of the things he's been trying to work on for a very, very long time. City Council approves of it. The community has a little bit of a disagreement because they don't want to have so much money dedicated to this project, and it's going to obviously cause a lot of roadblocks within the university street. So that's something that's being proposed for all of you, especially working on PTR. I think that's a very good, something that you should probably jump on and talk with him about, because that would obviously solve a lot of the issues of students being able to get to the downtown area. That's something else we can talk about later. So the UC Board of Admissions and Relations with Schools, that's one of the campus UC system-wide committees that I sit on. So recently we voted to endorse and support academic freedom as a right under free speech. There was a bit of a disagreement, and we didn't really know where this fell on, but academic freedom pretty much just means the freedom to teach what you believe, different things, new ideas. So it's pretty much a freedom of ideas within the context of the university. And we voted to endorse that, and that was passed by the faculty as well at all universities. Streamlining the transfer process is almost complete, and it will be paired with AB 1140. It pretty much will ensure that there are streamlined guidelines to the transfer process into the UC. So this will make students that go to the community college system, it'll make it much more easier for them to actually get into different universities, and it will have a list of requirements so that no community college student is actually confused or shouldn't have any confusion about the admission process, and there will be a very clear line into the UC, which is something that we haven't had ever. Military veterans. So one of the things that I was working on, I work a lot with like transfers and non-traditionals. It's been one of my pillars. One of the things we brought up was military veterans being waived non-resident status. Why did we do that? Because some of the veterans that just got out active service had to be stationed somewhere else, so they can't, even though they were from California, they can't really say that they're from California. So we made sure that in those cases that we can waive the non-resident status so they don't have to pay more tuition than they need to. We also granted general education credits. So for service in our armed forces, we are granting general education credit because you did pick up skills probably that you wouldn't pick up anywhere else, the same way you pick up certain skills in an internship and get credit for it. So we're giving credit for military service. Unfortunate new data on admissions this year. So because of the tuition hikes and the uncertainty in the budget, there are an increased number of unfunded students. So that means probably non-resident students or international students. More of them were admitted to the UC than in previous years because obviously they can pay full tuition and we don't have to give them financial aid. So That's an issue. There's been an increase because universities have been told, kind of under the table, and some members of the committee also stated just kind of blatantly that universities have also kind of been trying to be strategic with who they let in and who's going to be in the university based on the amount of money they're going to contribute. And there's been decreases on the California resident side. So we're supposed to have a lot more California residents accepted into the U system because it is for the University of California system. But due to the budget, there is a decrease in the amount of California residents accepted into universities. And the last point will be new SAT and AP guidelines. I don't know how many of you know this. If you have siblings, for those of you that do a lot of outreach programs to different high schools, it's important to note that there's a new SAT. It will be enforced after March 2016. So once you take any SAT test, it's going to be different after March 2016. It's going to have different questions. The way that it's scored is differently, so make sure that you are up to date when you're talking to students about the SAT. AP guidelines. So we also changed the different courses can now actually get AP credit. We increased the amount of AP classes, of the AP exams that are accepted as credit, but we still left the amount of credit and whether it counts as a general ed or a major requirement up to the individual university and college. So office update. So these are all things that are going on within my own office. We're going to have a mental health awareness week coming in May. It's going to be an entire week of different things and different departments coming out and really teaching students about mental health and destigmatizing it. A high school mentorship program through the Transfer Non-Traditional Task Force, where we will help different students who already plan to go to the CCs how the transfer process works, as well as going to community colleges and establishing networks for UCR. Academic Affairs is working on the Clicker program and healthy food options / dietary pamphlet. So one of the committee members has actually gone to all the dining and residential services, has gotten all the nutritional facts about the different foods that we sell here and compiled them into a pamphlet so that all students know what the nutrition values are, if it conflicts with your diet and you didn't even know. So we made sure to compile that information so that it's available to all students. Freshman fellow mentorship, recently I'm starting to meet with all fellows of all offices, mentoring them, giving them a little assignment because some of them felt that they wanted to do more, so I had more free time and I had more assignments that I could assign to them, so I've been working with them. They've also finished the ASUCR transition pamphlet. So for all new AS staff that's going to be coming in the next year, we completed a pamphlet that's going to tell you everything you need to know about AS, as well as what your position does, what has happened in the past, and different procedures. And we made that into an all-inclusive pamphlet. GCAP. So GCAP's working on a solar trash compactor. We're hoping to buy a couple for $36,000. We have that money in the solar funds, and this will greatly help our sustainable practices here on campus. We also have new reusable bags that we're going to be distributing through GCAP. I have a box there, and I'm going to give one to each one of the senators and some members of the galley that are here, so that you all can have a reusable bag, and we can start becoming more eco-friendly on this university. So one of the last things is we have an international food mixer coming up in April 27th, multicultural days. So all of May, there's going to be the nooner will be playing some kind of cultural music, some kind of cultural performance, and then there will be a discussion happening in the hub and many hub rooms to really discuss how this is important, what's beautiful about it, and really come together as students and really get to know about other cultures. We're also having a food can drive. I think Danny Lopez already stated when that's going to happen, but we'll have all the information for you all soon enough. I'll be giving bylaw updates later. I have changed a lot of the bylaws, and I'm going to be submitting them to you. If you all have anything that you want to include in any future updates to my personal Vice President of Campus Internal Affairs bylaws, let me know. We'll also have an RHA sponsorship, so we're going to be hopefully sponsoring an event with RHA where we'll be helping them out with one of their, it's kind of like a release for something about a building, I forgot. But we're helping them sponsor that. So my last note was finish strong and stay involved. I know that we're ending our terms, but I wanted to make sure that everyone continues to stay motivated, that you still have this position for a couple more weeks, and make sure that if you haven't done a project or you feel you haven't done anything substantial yet, you still have time. You have time to become part of the committees, you have time to get on a project and really change this university and really hold what you said last year during your elections process and hold yourself accountable for that and make sure that you actually did something while you're here in ASUCR and you don't look back at this as just something that you put on your resume. So make sure to stay strong and stay involved, and if you have any questions, you can ask them now.
So you had mentioned the governing board. So now that there is a process for applying for the waiver, how would we go about that? Or do we have to speak to the governing board directly? Or can you give more information on that?
So it'll still be the same process where you have to email Charles, the chair, and let him know that you're requesting a waiver, and then we'll vote on it. But I'm hoping that at the end of this quarter, when we review the bylaws, that will actually institute something more concrete. But now that we set a precedent where we are going to waive those types of events, now it's going to become easier for us to do for future events.
Is it possible to have a fee be waived after? So for example, there's a huge event that the office is hosting this Saturday, and last year it was waived, this year it is not. If we go forward, we will be at a deficit, but is it possible to apply for the waiver after the event?
I'm not quite sure about that, to be honest. So that's something that you can email Charles, or I can ask him myself.
Yeah.
And I can get back to you.
Senator Silver.
Could you go over the clicker program that the ARC is sponsoring? Because I know you just said it, but I don't think you actually want to.
So the clicker program is something that's coming out of academic affairs. So right now we're in negotiations with the hub we'll purchase the clickers themselves, and then they'll be the body to actually, either the library or the hub will be the ones distributing and checking them out to students for the quarter. And then we're hoping to start a program after we have the initial purchase of the clickers. We're also hoping that students that are graduating will donate their clickers, and we can continue to build a reservoir of clickers, especially for students who take only take one clicker class during their entire stay here. We kind of see it as unfair that they have to purchase a whole clicker for one class.
Okay. Call it that. Call it.
I was just wondering if you knew where the stadium was going to be, what general area that was talked about,
Well, that Nafi can, I think.
So right now, it's if you all attend the visioning session, the workshop, it's still up for grabs. It can be where the old family housing is. That's one area. It's being talked about south by the freeway. That's another area. What I suggested was keeping it close to residential areas, so it's easier for students to actually get to that. But those are all in discussions right now, so I encourage you all to be at the visioning workshop, because they're actually still looking at possibilities of where it would be best suited. And that's also Colette in terms of student org housing. I'm kind of trying to lobby them for that and building student org housing around that arena, and keeping it near residential areas.
Senator John Jones.
I think it's awesome, you kind of give us a little action plan. If we want to get involved with helping with sustainability, should I just talk to them about it, or where would I go?
With what?
Sustainability and more desert landscape.
Oh, so we can come with me to one of the steering committees for sustainability, and I can bring you along with me. You're still open to the public, so that's something that you can come along with me and talking to them about.
Thank you so much. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Continuing on, next we have our outreach committee report by Outreach Director.
Hello, everyone. So thank you to all the organizations that applied. We did have our deadline this past yesterday. So I did receive 5 applications. They are different applications, so I'm really looking forward to that. This year we received a lot of different organizations that had not hosted outreach events, and we really helped to establish a pathway of what to do when applying. We will also have the same workshop with Student Life and ASUCR next week. So we are looking at tentative dates, but once a date is set, we'll go ahead and let all organizations know. So how it went last year is we have the application out, they apply, they attend the hearing, they find out what the amount of money that they get, and then from there they would go to the workshop hosted in the Student Life Org Room, and they would just kind of find out what are their next steps after they receive the funds from ASUCR to their sponsoring department. So that's kind of just a guideline of what they were to do. I'm still trying to help organizations have kind of like a before pathway, because I think it's very difficult for students to understand the application. We did have a Great Seamless Docs initiative that was started this year that really helped create sustainability, a sense of sustainability, and we also had, I tried to provide myself as much as possible, but I think there should be some type of, process where we're able to revise the applications and then possibly, work with organizations before the deadline. But being that the deadline has passed and we have the organizations apply, our outreach hearing is on the 24th. I believe I only was able to talk to one individual on the outreach committee. I do apologize. It was a little bit late, but I did speak to the different parties involved. So just as a reminder, the outreach hearing is this Friday from 8:30 to 11:30. We will not be having the committee. So this week would have been the ideal first meeting for our outreach committee, but because of the fact that the outreach hearing is this Friday, and that's the best day for everyone based on the doodle, which I still have not received everybody's availability. I appreciate those who did send in their availability. But this Friday, as mentioned before, outreach hearing from 8:30 to 11:30. We'll go ahead and move forward with that. So just remember, if you are a part of the office, that it needs to be present. We need you to be there. Any questions?
Okay, cool, thanks.
Great, thank you. All right, continuing on to subsection 5, we have our elections committee update. So I'll turn it out over to our elections director, Stephanie Rose.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who came out and supported us during all of the debates. Today we concluded our last debate, which was the presidential. I think they all were very successful, and I'd like to once again say thank you to the Highlander for moderating all of the debates and to KUCR for helping us out with the senatorial and presidential debate. Today I'm going to announce the election voting incentives that the Elections Committee has organized for next week, so it's up on the screen if you'd like to look. So from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day next week, once voting begins, the Elections Committee will have a polling station outside near the bell tower for students to come and vote. And as an incentive, we've organized different events and giveaways for students. So on Monday, we will be distributing Domino's Pizza to the first 500 voters. Domino's won't be able to be released until 11 a.m., just keep that in mind. However, if you vote between the hours of 10 and 11, you'll receive a ticket. So I would just tell those students, if you vote between 10 and 11, show up at 11 with your ticket, and the first 500 students will receive the pizza. We've ordered cheese and pepperoni. Tuesday, April 28th, we have In-N-Out burgers for the first 500 voters. This will also start at 11 a.m., same thing. They couldn't come on any earlier, and that will be in a food truck. Wednesday, April 29th, we're calling this Dunk Tank and Donuts. So we have donuts available for the first 200 voters, starting at 10 a.m. And also come out and take a shot at dunking your current ASUCR student representatives, which brings me to this. Thank you to everyone for signing up. This makes me so happy. So a shout out to Katharina, Jackie, Colette, Traylon, Jessica, Fernando, Jason, Abe, and Allie. I am very excited to dunk you all on Wednesday.
Oh, how many times have you done?
I thought it was a one dunk kind of.
You're in the dunk tank for half an hour.
It's just like there's a range of 200 voters, and they just don't come in by like half an hour.
Exactly. So it depends on how many voters come, and I mean maybe all the voters won't make it. So for a half an hour each. I really, really appreciate it. You can get an elections committee t-shirt. You can wear that along with whatever buttons you choose. If you vote, you get a donut. Maybe I'll buy you all donuts anyway, something like that. Okay, so moving on to Thursday. Thursday is called Bounce House and Baked Goods. So we'll have cookies for the first 200 voters starting at 10 a.m. And then it's not necessarily a bounce house, but we have an inflatable slide and a inflatable jousting ring. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you know, the thing looks like giant toe tips and that, yeah. So we'll have that, and anyone who votes gets to participate with that. And then Friday, May 1st, we have a spin the wheel to win free prizes. So we have ASUCR sunglasses, lanyards, and pens. You spin the wheel, whatever you land on, that's what you get. So these are just events that we have going on near the bell tower for any students that vote. However, if you don't vote at the polling site, you can vote on elections.ucr.edu. So voting starts at 8 a.m. bright and early Monday morning and concludes Friday, May 1st at 5 p.m. So please advertise that. Additionally, Colette, our marketing officer, has started a Facebook event. We're going to be inviting everyone to it probably later this evening or tomorrow. So please add yourself to that event, and when we advertise this flyer online, please spread that as well. The elections committee is composed of 14 people, so the more students, specifically on the horseshoe, political parties or candidates running that advertise this, the more networking we have and the more students will see all of this info. Colette, did you have something?
Yeah, just a quick point. First of all, when you're invited, can you invite all your friends after you say yes? And also, Jim Sandoval, would you be down to be dunked?
Well, you know, Lori just actually asked me about that. So I looked at the weather for the day. And I was hoping it would be a cool day and I could use that as a reason not to be. It's going to be 93 degrees.
Yeah.
What time?
Anytime.
We can move people around. We have
This is also open to you, Susan or Tina.
But I was thinking of going ahead and volunteering to do it, but then delegating to Susan. I'm sure one job would be cool.
Super excited to jump the deans or something. Lori can join in on the fun too.
So.
That's my idea.
No? Okay, those of you that signed up to donate, I'll be in contact, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Are we out? No, it's all right. Okay. That concluding our elections committee report. Thank you for having me. This is great. We continue on to the next item on our agenda, section H. We have a collaboration item. Our very own Senator John Dell. So at this time, Senator.
All right, so I explained it last meeting, but I'm trying to get a workshop or like I guess another discussion or forum with any student who wants to attend for undeclared like problems or any misconceptions or if they just need any help or counseling aside from the advisor. So I was wondering if anyone here is undeclared in any college, I guess you could say, and that would be willing to come out and help me attend or help me get this together, because I am meeting with another person in charge. I don't know his first name, but his last name's Graham. And yeah, and Peter Graham, and I'm meeting with him next Monday to start finalizing things. So if anyone wants to help me with that, I'd be greatly appreciated. If not, we can figure it out.
Senator Jack.
I am declared, but I for a whole year wasn't, and I have changed majors twice, so I'm more than happy to like help you out with this team. I totally understand the struggle, so yeah.
Sweet is all I want to say. Awesome, thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, continuing on section I, public comment. So at this point, I'd like to open up a welcome to any members of the galley if they'd like to comment on anything that has transpired over Senate meeting tonight, to offer any opinions or insights. Please be welcome. Okay. Then we will move straight ahead to roundtable and announcements. I will begin from my left and work my way to my right. And so Senator Ali Isles.
That me? Okay. Hi, everybody. Nothing specifically too important, just we are like on the midst of elections week. So everybody please advertise that as much as possible. Everybody, stay sane. It's elections week, it's midterms, so study, eat right, sleep, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Senator Jackie Cover.
This Friday is a Shabbat dinner. I do not know where. I will not be there. But there is a Shabbat dinner this Friday from Hillel. Be on the lookout. I'll send the invite via GroupMe and Facebook. So, other than that, the Ani Run updates. So, in regards to the Ani Run, Colette has the master thing. But we're going to try and also incorporate, now that the event has officially been, we're collaborating now with a student who also is having a similar event. We're going to try and incorporate things like glow sticks, stickers, different advertising methods and tools. We're going to try and work with internal affairs and getting a grant or something like that to purchase these items. That's May 7th, it's a Thursday at midnight. Yeah, hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Senator Trailer.
First off, this bag is awesome.
Yes.
Just thought I would say that first and foremost. Secondly, I was often, back when I did originally run for the position I'm now in front of, I often had students come ask me what are ways that they could get involved with student government or how can they have their voice heard. And I always told them the first thing is that they could vote. I feel like that's the most basic form of participation that we should all enact in. So when you're often talking to students and your peers and stuff, just encourage them to exercise their right to vote because it is very much there. And as students who, put a lot of their own resources, money into this campus, they should do so. And so make sure you're encouraging it at every corner, especially since elections week is next week. That's it.
Great, thanks. Senator Priscilla Perret.
Alright, so we've kind of had a hiatus with Delaney and my Week of Kindness events, but that's likely to come up again this following week at tabling, so watch out for that. And in response to what Traylon just mentioned, when students come and ask me what are some of the ways they can get involved in student government, I say get involved in committees. Usually, that's early on in the year, but I tell them to watch out for those emails and they can get more involved in student government that way as well.
Good, thank you. Senator Higgins-Perdue. Senator Reed Blake.
Hey everyone, so I have a few announcements. The Lebanese Social Club, Iranian Student Association, and the Armenian Student Association are having a social at Sky Zone on Wednesday, April 29th from 6 to 9 p.m. I'll invite you all on Facebook once I get off of my Facebook hiatus. The Feminism Awareness Week that Devin and I and Summer, the week that we've been working on, will be taking place officially May 4th to Thursday, May 7th. So do look out for that. I created the template for the photo campaign that we'll be launching, and we would love the participation of all our senators a week before that event, just to get it trending on Facebook. And I have yet to talk to Ravine, but I might be also doing the marketing, so do look out for that, and we would love it if you all publicize that on your own pages. Thank you, and good luck on midterms.
You too. Thank you. Senator Herman second. Vice President of Campus and General Affairs.
All of you should have received an email to reserve for the barbecue that Amy's hosting. So just make sure to fill that out. She only has a couple reservations, so make sure that you just get that done so she knows how much food she purchased for the day.
Abraham Belmont.
Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to be having a photo campaign from 11 to 2 p.m. at the Bell Tower. It's going to be for One TV, which is on April 25th is the third anniversary of when student loan debt surpassed $1 trillion. And so we're gonna be having a photo campaign for that tomorrow, from 11 to 2. Stop by, take your picture with it or whatnot. Student loan debt is really one of those issues that's often overlooked and not given as much priority to. Like student loan debt, because of the fact that obviously students don't really experience much of the issue with student loan debt until they're not students anymore. And so it's really crucial that we do bring that more to the more prominent light to that. And so I encourage you all to come out, and I'll see you there.
I would just like to say that I had a blast at SOC this past weekend with everybody else on the horseshoe. I love you with Charlie and John. I thought we were a good team. Shout out to Abraham for leading the delegation. I think UCR had the best delegation once again.
Always.
That's all.
Parliamentarian Adelia Chuck. Oh my God, Senate Secretary Adelia Chuck. Right, President Napi Karim.
Pass.
Vice President of Finance.
Pass.
President Pro Tempore.
Just to echo what Reem said, we would really love all of your support on the horseshoe. Summer and Reem and myself and Christian, we've all been working on this, and just we need your support with this. And then the galley, more information will come, but thank you all for bearing with us. I know this has been a long planning process, but we're really excited for everything that we have planned, and we're looking forward to it.
Elections Director Stephanie Lewis.
Please vote next week. Please advertise everything the elections committee has been trying to do. Thank you to those of you that are already supporting and spreading our word on Facebook, social media, things like that. It's really, really important. We want to translate that to all the students. Next week is your time to come and vote for your future student representatives. I don't know how much more of an emphasis I can put on that, so please come vote. We have polling stations available for you. We're giving away free food, free in and out. Please, please, please come. Thank you.
Outreach Director Jessica Kiedis.
Just like the ex-official from Chicano Student Program said, this Saturday is our Chicano Latino Youth Conference. I do hope to see all you out. We do have 1,000 students coming out, a lot of parents, a lot of community members. This is a huge impact on the community, on the campus, on these student lives. One thing is I don't know if someone's going to go more into detail with it, but if I can ask every student if knowingly or non-knowingly, if you were wearing denim, to stand up. Yeah. Whatever color the denim is. See? Cool. So this is in celebration of Denim Day. Summer, are you gonna go more into detail, or would you want me to do that? You can. Go for it. Okay. Well, I just thought it was important to stress the fact that the Women's Resource Center was having Denim Day, and I think it was important that we know that sexual violence is a huge issue on campus, especially when it comes down to when it goes up as high as the Supreme Court. There was a case that an individual was faced with because of the fact that that individual was wearing too tight of pants. So if it's the tightness or the shorts or the length or the gender identity and the cause of anything, that should never be a reason to assault someone. So just know that you are knowingly or unknowingly actively participating in Denim Day.
Thank you. Personnel Director Ashley Rana. Senator Christian Pass. Senator John Bell.
Well, I like this look. It's kind of nice.
It's working.
It's comfortable.
Colette said 90s TV show. Saved by the Bell was her specific. In the good way.
I'll take it as a compliment. I had a great time at SLC. Coming in this quarter, I really feel like I didn't have as much of a connection as some of you did, but seeing some of you there, it was awesome. I feel like I got on a closer level, and it makes me more happy to work with you all as a team now, because we all know teamwork makes the dream work. So that's all I say.
Senator.
Oh, sorry.
Senator Delaney Cody.
What Priscilla said about the Kindness and New Cool campaign, if you want to help us hang posters, we're going to be flyer bombing next week after all the elections, posters and craziness are down. So yeah, hit us up if you want to get involved with that. Thank you, Jessica, for that visual. That was really great. Yeah, Denim Day is really important. Thank you for all of those who were in support of it and for all those who participated. It's really important that we realize that no one's ever asking for it, no matter what they're wearing. So it's very important. I wanted to say that I was happy to be a participant in the Hijab Day. I know we had the organizers do that out here, and so that was a really great experience, and I hope that you all participate in that next year. Or whoever, thank you to those who did, and whoever didn't participate next year. Yeah, and then to come out tomorrow for the photo campaign for 1T Day, and happy Earth Day to everyone. Happy birthday. And also I was gonna ask, I'm wondering if either Susan could answer this about where the Survivors Bill of Rights is with our administration on being published, as last week it was stated that it would be published by the end of last week. So I was wondering if you had any updates on when that was gonna be publicly announced.
So literally, we just got the feedback from the Chancellor and Provost, and I think Susan just sent you an email, and you deepened in Sean's email that she's about to send it to you, so we should be able to post it tomorrow. So what we want you, the three of you, to do is just read it, confirm that that's exactly the way that you wanted the language, and we'll post it tomorrow. On behalf of the administration, our apologies for the delay.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks. Senator Jason Rubis.
All right, last one. All right, so as you all may or may not know, some of you will not know, I've been working on this project called Project DTR, and then the first week of this quarter, on Thursday, we actually had this thing that we had called Art Crawl, which was pretty fun. This time we're going to do it again. One of the interns, the business interns in Fernando's office, was able to organize it and it went pretty well. We're going to organize a better one this time, make it a lot more fun. I'm currently bugging some people on the Horseshoe for some funds, and they know who they are. And we're going to try to get some shirts going. We're going to have a Facebook giveaway, an Instagram giveaway for these shirts. And basically, this is going to happen on the 7th of May, so May 7th. This is after Spring Splash. And we're also trying to make this really inclusive because we don't want age to be a difference. So hopefully we're going to have more events as well for people who are 18 and over and not quite 21 just yet. And we're also going to have shirt giveaways for those people as well. Before the event, we're going to try to table on Wednesday and try to get some shirts out as well. And like I said, I want to reiterate, we're trying to make this as inclusive as possible for all age gaps and things like that. So if you guys want to be part of the whole Project DTR, let me know. Look out for emails on that, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Also, as you all may or may not know as well, I'm working on this Our Garden Senior Design Project, and I've been working on this for the last quarter and some change. And essentially this Saturday at 7 a.m. we're going to have a cleanup. We're going to try to lay down some PEX piping. Do a lot of cool stuff too. If you guys want to come and help, we'll be there from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. You don't have to come, but your help is much appreciated. We're trying to basically make things a lot more sustainable. Currently there's no agricultural processing power available. And there's a lot of crops, and especially going with the food pantry and with dormitories and all that food stuff. We're trying to increase that production, increase agriculture. So this is kind of like a big step forward for not only my senior design group, but also for UCR. And like I said, our project basically aims to increase sustainability and make the art garden as useful as possible for the UCR community. With that being said, one of the things I kind of do want to work on as well is trying to implement more senior designs. Well, specifically in engineering, for those of you guys that don't know, we have this thing every year for seniors called senior design. And essentially their goal is to try to make, try to fix something in industry usually that's a problem. And a lot of teams at UCR are actually very successful. This past competition, we had an EPA competition and an Intel competition that were national. And one of the UCR groups actually placed first in the Intel Innovation Award. Which is a pretty big deal. And one of the things I think is really interesting is that I would hope for in the future, at least if we can work with physical plant, GCAT, or the Office of Sustainability, to try to get more senior designs geared towards UCR And I think in this way, we can actually set an example for all campuses across the United States, and especially through the UC system. Because our UC system, especially UCR, we have a lot of great innovative minds. And I mean, what better way to use it than setting the example ourselves? So hopefully I can talk to Fernando, some other people, and get some things going forward, especially with the College of Engineering, and even maybe in the CNAS department as well. And we can get something going for the years coming, get some nice, some nice press and some, great innovations. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to go on the midterms.
You have one last one.
I'm sorry. Okay, so this is a campaign that USES is starting about worker intimidation. So some things that, different buildings, more specifically the dorms, have been facing is just kind of like a lot of worker intimidation. We are starting a petition, so there is a petition going around. It is, I don't know, it's old school, handwritten. We don't have an online one yet, but if y'all know any USES members, or feel free to, join in. Our meetings are Wednesdays at 5 in CSP. But it's just really to stand in solidarity, to be in solidarity with these workers, because of the fact that, we stand behind any worker, and we know that intimidation from management or intimidation from anyone is not, it's not cool. So we just want to make sure that we stand with them, be in solidarity with all the workers.
Okay. Then with that, I will move on to our final item on the agenda, adjournment. So with that, I open up the floor for motions at this time. Senator Jackie Jacoby.
Motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Okay. Second. Motion by Senator Jackie Jacoby, seconded by Senator Fabian Escobedo. Before we all stand up, let me get the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstained. Okay, by a vote of 14-0-0, we adjourn tonight's meeting at 8:20 p.m. Thank you for coming out.